It is better to think of church in the alehouse than to think of the alehouse in church.
We'll see how well AI can do on this.
Honestly, there's more background from the TV in the other room.
It might be, honestly, that one of the things that we ran into early on was the microphone was pointed your direction, since we found out these were directional mics. And
Yeah,
so,
well, then also the software's gotten smarter. Like when we first started recording, the system itself didn't have microphone isolation.
well, because remember how I used to be super quiet, but it was actually, we found out after getting the headphones that my microphone was turned around.
Well, there was that. But also, yeah, then there's Max added voice isolation to the system so you can have that on while you're recording. And they've added that for people who are just even doing Zooms and other video calls. So there's a limited amount of software within the system too, but yes, we are already rolling.
Cool. So, how's it going?
Well, it's going well for me. You're the one with all the news.
I mean, I don't.
Well, I don't know. Well, that's not true. I had a wonderful Saturday. Oh, that's tasty.
Apparently, it tastes like vinyl sounds.
It tastes like what?
Vinyl sounds.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the.
Yeah, it's good. It's light.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that one.
Employee owned. Based out of Portland, Oregon. You had to go to.
Well, let's just start off with beer. First beer of the episode. Breakside's
IPA. I think it's just India Pale Ale. Unless it's Tastes Like Vinyl Sounds is the name of it.
It says
Or Splendorous
Breakside
Northwest Hops.
Breakside IPA Splendorous Northwest hops taste like vinyl sounds. Alcohol 6.8 with an eagle on the front. It's a very odd. I don't know what the eagle is. Maybe that's their thing.
Well, I mainly got the Eagle one because it's 4th of July. So
it's canned in February, so we're pushing the limit. But this is about as fresh as I could find at Bevmo. That's now just a sad, like, it's the land of forgotten beers.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're buying even lagers or pilsners, but for IPAs, I mean, like I told you, there was stuff from like a year and a half ago where I was like, oh, look at this. This is good. I'm going to take that home. Nope. It's a year old.
Same as Total Wine. I mean, like, that's where beer goes to die.
Yeah, which is kind of funny.
I mean, your Tioga Sequoia that you got in there, that was like all of it was flat, remember?
Actually, I pulled it, I got it out to throw it away, and I cracked the first can that was left open, and it foamed up. So 2 of them that we had right away, the first 2 that we had were not carbonated, but the one that I opened up was carbonated. So I put the other 3 in there to hope that those are also carbonated. But
I'll let you try them out and then let me know.
I imagine Nolan will be the one. It'll be Nolan and I drinking them on Friday.
So there you go.
Around the pool. So, which I also have a 12-pack of
the
Pilsner, which I picked up at Bevmo.
Nice.
Chris, though, I don't know if I told you Chris went to Stone.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So,
said we would pass on the POG. So.
Pass on the POG, but we should have some Stone. We should have a Stone IPA, I think. A West Coast Pils, I think we'll have in a couple weeks.
Nice.
But yeah, this is tasty. It's nice and it's a light, refreshing IPA.
So anyways, how you doing?
Doing well. On Saturday, Danica and I went down and had lunch with 3 of my high school friends. The other 2 couldn't make it. So I don't have college friends. I have high school friends. And part of that's because most of us went to school together from 7th grade on. And then all of us stayed in town and were commuter kids mostly.
Those are all my high school friends.
Yeah, so I mean, nobody. Well, that's not true. Eric went away to school, and then another friend, Kevin, who's kind of fell out of the group. But we see him every like 10 years. Kevin went off to Colorado. Eric transferred like every single year. I mean, that guy. He went to Pepperdine. He went to Holy Cross, then Pepperdine, then Hardy, which is a Christian school in Arkansas, and then finished up at Vanderbilt. And basically, he was playing baseball, so he was going where he could play baseball.
Yeah. Chasing a
And
dream. I gotcha.
do pre-med. So, and he wasn't starting, or I don't even know if he got a scholarship, but he just make the team. So but then everybody else went to CSUN, and then John and I went to UCLA. So we just kept hanging out. Marzell and Greg joined fraternities at CSUN, but again, they didn't live in a frat house. So it was one of those kind of things. So we've just stayed buddies all the way through. And sure enough, I haven't seen these guys since before COVID, and showed up at the restaurant, and we were right back into the groove. It was like a basketball team doing no dish passes and telling jokes. We were there 4 or 5 hours at this place.
Nice.
I didn't get home till like 6 o'clock. I want to say it
was Olive Garden. When you're here, your family.
Actually, we went to this place called The Local, and it's a chain, huh?
You went and got yourself thrown out of an Applebee's.
It's called The Local, and it's like a small chain of it's a pub, which is where they get the name from. The Local is similar to the Public House. They had a decent beer selection. I only had one beer, mainly because I was talking a lot, so I just really going through my beer slow. But I had one beer from Paperback Brewing Company, which I've had before. They're in Glendale or Eagle Rock. And then it was all really good pub food, sandwiches, burgers,
nice.
Wings, and that kind of thing. Supposedly there's one in Clovis. I thought I saw that. If that's the case, it's probably good to go up there and try one out, even though we now kind of have our favorite spots. But in case we need to go someplace other than Colton's, we can maybe see where The Local is. But
yeah, well, if we want to still save our bank accounts.
Yeah.
$12 for a beer.
Yeah, if we're just going to drink, we can go to Backyard Social Club or one of the breweries. But if we want to eat, it was, like I said, it was tasty food. The tater tots, I had barbecue burger sliders. It wasn't barbecue like brisket or anything, but they had barbecue sauce, onion strings, and a couple other little things. But that came with tater tots. Amazing tater tots. I mean, they were as crispy as I've ever had on the outside, but still super soft on the inside. Just nice. Perfect. So, but anyway, caught up with friends. My buddy Eric's son, he's got a daughter and a son. His son's graduated from college. He's going off to some small Christian college in Palm Beach, Florida. Chose that over Lipscomb in Nashville. So I was giving him crap for that. And his mom actually went to Lipscomb. That's how Eric met his wife. Eric was going to Vandy, and she was going to Lipscomb, and they met. But he decided he didn't want to go. So anyway, had a great time. Got to catch up, talk about all kinds of things, show pictures. So it was really good. I was there first. I was a little bit nervous going down there. Just hadn't seen anybody, and I wasn't like worried. It was just kind of like, haven't seen anybody in a while, and a little bit of anxiousness, but it was good. So that was my news, but it doesn't compare to yours.
Yeah, Kershaw's 3 strikeouts away from 3,000. That's crazy. It's exciting.
Actually, listeners, I thought he was going to talk about something much bigger, which was the Club World Cup. Which is in the round of 16.
Seattle got eliminated, so I was like, whatever. No need to watch anymore. So I was like, okay. Because Man United didn't get invited, so.
Don't know, baby number 2. You and I got a boy.
Yeah, baby boy is here. Yeah, I'm sleep deprived, but it's exciting. We're navigating what it's like to have 2 kids, and actually it's really turning out to be a lot easier than I think we had anticipated. My wife had a bit of a conniption last Thursday because it was the day we came back from the hospital, and she was a little overwhelmed having to do with both kids by herself for like a couple hours because I had to go run and pick up a fermenter.
Had to go.
I did feel like I had to go. I don't know.
Actually, if Nolan had not bailed out. He and I could have taken care of it. So, but anyway.
Yeah, whatever. So we went and took care of it anyways. But since then, everything's been pretty smooth sailing. I mean, like, we're kind of like, we know what we're doing. So, like, the first time was rough because we didn't know. And I feel like now we're a little bit more cocky about it. We're not cocky, but like, we're just confident. We're just like, oh yeah, like this is, all right, we're up at 2:00 in the morning. Gotta, change diaper, feed him real quick. Like, Audrey's not like trying to figure out how to feed a baby and like trying to figure things out. We're just like, okay, this is what he wants. This is what he needs. Boom, 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 boom. And just like, it's a whole lot easier than the first time. So the issue is our daughter is going into toddlerhood and she just needs a lot of attention. She needs time. She needs things to do. And so that's kind of been my job over this last week. And it'll be my job over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks until school's back in town, is just entertaining her, taking her out to go do stuff. Today we went to Target and we just need to buy ones for diapers and a couple more sleep sacks because we're terrible at swaddling. So yeah, we're terrible at that. We ran into that problem that Thursday night because everybody in the hospital swaddles your baby for you. I mean, don't move them once they're swaddled. Like, I mean, you can move them, but like, don't mess up their swaddling. But then you get home and you're like, shit, I watched them do that 10,000 times. They taught me, but it's still not as tight, still not as good, and the baby's not liking it. They're like, we want to be tight. So they now sell these like sleep sacks where you're able to just like get you put them in like a little pouch and then you get this Velcro thing and you just get them all nice and tight and just strap it on there and it just makes your life so much easier. So that's what we had to do, that because baby boy was not feeling it, but my wife only bought one. And when it comes to kids, you shouldn't buy one of something, especially if they're still in diapers, because, you're going to be doing lots of laundry if you only buy one. So me and Reese went and bought that today. We went to Barnes and Noble, picked up a couple of books for her, went grocery shop, only like had to pick up some stuff for dinner to make for dinner tonight. And so just keeping her entertained, keeping her active, keeping her doing stuff. That's kind of been me. I love my son. I just don't really see him that much. If you're a father of a child and your wife breastfed for the entire time, that like their first 6 months, you basically never see the baby. He's either sleeping or he's being fed, or that's it. Like, those are the two things that are happening with them. So, but it was true with Reese. Like, I felt bad and I still feel bad, but this time less so because I'm taking care of Reese. You don't really do much. Like, as a dad, you're just kind of like, okay, you just like help support around the house. Like, okay, so Audrey's kind of out of commission for doing this. So you step in on some of those roles, make sure dinner's made, all the, you're vacuuming, you're cleaning, you're doing all that kind of stuff. And you're doing it solo because, wife's taking care of the baby. So that's just how it goes. And we're finding our groove. And it feels like we slipped into our groove a lot faster this go around. So it was good. That's me. Baby boy's here. Born on June 25th. Literally, my wife went into labor like 4 hours after we stopped recording last go around. So there you go.
You want to share the name?
Oh, yeah. His name is Jackson Scott Pierce. He's named after my father, for his middle name is Scott. My dad's middle name is Scott. My dad's only ever gone by Scott. And then my dad wanted to name me Jackson, but my mom vetoed it. And so we had always decided, like, way back when we were like 20 years old. Actually, what I wanted to name my son was Clayton, but Audrey says that's the bad guy from Tarzan. And so that can't be the name of our son.
I did not know that.
And so I said, and she wanted Mason, but I had a Mason that I worked with, or that I had gone to high school with. And I was like, nah, that guy was a jerk. And so I was like, what about Jackson? And she liked it. And little did she know that she was naming him after Jackson Brown, which is who my dad wanted to name me after. And so our son is named after Jackson Brown, with the middle name Scott, after my father. So like, the kid is actually a one-up of my sister. My sister named her son after my dad's favorite grandpa, and named him A.W. Andrew Washington. And And I was like, oh, how am I going to beat my sister? Oh, I know. I'll name him after his favorite singer of all time and himself. So that's how it went. So we played Hippie Radio by Eric Church on the way home from the hospital, as well as Late for the Sky. Those were the two songs that were on the playlist for the ride home, and it worked out perfectly. So
Colton's actually lying to all of you. He's not named after Jackson Brown. Colton's actually a big fan of the Confederacy, and he's named after Stonewall Jackson. So.
Absolutely. 100%.
The great preacher general of the Confederacy.
You got me.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love the name.
Yeah. Big fan.
Looking forward to watching some soccer with Jackson. So.
Yeah. It'll be here soon. But yeah. That's pretty much that, right? Is that
trivia, TikTok?
Yeah, I had it. I got to pull it up, though. Do we have another segment to segue before I get to it?
Not really.
Oh, all right. So it's just going to be me having to look this up and do a song and dance while it's happening. All right. Our trivia this evening we're going back. Well, I think we've only done sports, which is great, actually. I love talking sports, But I think after this one, we're pretty much tapped on we'll see. We're not tapped on sports trivia by any means, but I am saying that we are at the greatest of all time debates. And who better to settle that argument than ChatGPT themselves? So what you are going to do tonight, Tim, is you have 3 lives or 3 chances. Honorable mentions will get you a life back, same as it was before. But you are going to tell me who ChatGPT thinks is the 10 greatest athletes of all time. It's a balanced list that considers global recognition, accomplishments, influence, and cross-generational legacy. I might have a little bit of tidbits for everybody while we're
fucking hell.
Top 10 athletes of all time.
All right, number 1, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is number 3 on the list. 3 times world heavyweight champion, a cultural icon and civil rights activist known as the greatest.
All right, number 2, Pele.
Pele is number 7 on the list. 3 times FIFA World Cup winner, scored over 1,000 career goals, global ambassador for the sport.
Oh, I'm not going to do well at this. If Pele's 7 is now 7,
I don't think
it's not unfair. I just want to be clear. It's not unfair. It's just that's how much the world's changed. Through the 90s, if you asked well-known, like educated sports people, and again, it's the 90s. It's 30 years later, so we've had other athletes, but Muhammad Ali, Pele were hands down the greatest athletes of all time.
There's a couple of people that aren't on this list that I would have considered being on there.
All right, Tiger Woods.
Not on the list. That was one of the people that I thought should be on the list.
You're kidding me.
I know. Not even an honorable mention.
All right. Well, I know who I'm going to tell who to go to hell at the end of the show.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Well, I'm not going to feel bad about not getting all these. Fuck that. Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt is number 4. 8 Olympic gold medals, world records in the 100 meter and 200 meter, widely regarded as the fastest human in history, which is
he's number 4.
Not a stretch.
Don't give me sports, but is it like fairly balanced America versus international, or North America versus international? I mean, I got 5 names, but
you have guessed all the non-Americans already on this list.
Oh, thank God. All right, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is number 1.
Oh.
6-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, 10 scoring titles, redefined the NBA globally and transcended sports culture.
All right. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is number 5, 7 Super Bowl titles, 3 MVPs, over 80,000 passing yards, dominated the NFL for 20 plus years with unmatched playoff success.
I already have one. Wayne Gretzky.
Honorable mention, Wayne Gretzky. You get a life back. The great one with unmatched records.
Yeah, I knew that one was dodgy, but I also wouldn't have.
Which is crazy to me. I mean, I'm just like, whatever. I mean, it's top 10, you gotta make your picks.
There's no hockey players in the top 10.
There are no hockey players, no. Like one of these, I'm like, okay. I think that ChatGPT just went after like the word athletic and maybe that's a hint for you. I'm not saying that like it's in like he didn't play for the Oakland A's or something.
Right.
But I'm saying that like went for what would define like an athlete for, I don't know.
Simone Biles.
Yep. Simone Biles, number 6, 7 Olympic medals, 25 world championship medals, most all time, pushed the boundaries of what's physically possible in gymnastics, which is true.
Oh, who's the male swimmer?
It's him. Just got to say his name. It's not Ryan Lochte, just so you know.
That'll come to me. Hopefully. Put an asterisk on that swimmer. I've got Greg stuck in my head. That's not what it is. Oh, man. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, Michael Phelps.
There you go. Michael Phelps, 23 Olympic gold medals, most ever, 28 total, redefined Olympic dominance over 4 games. And if we're being honest, that the relay race against the French is like, it will go down as the best swim race of all time, where we weren't supposed to win.
Well, you made a joke about Ryan Lochte. I mean, that's what's so crazy about Phelps was, and I'll give NBC credit since they did the Olympics. They went out of their way, and I think Phelps did too. He got all of his endorsements and all that, but I never got the sense that he was like a publicity hog. But I mean, Lochte was supposed to be the guy, and he really was. I mean, he was also. I mean, it's kind of like the 2 decathletes we have here in Tulare that won the gold and the silver in 50 whatever. Like, we remember one, but you forget about the other guy who is also like arguably the other greatest of all time as well. Yeah.
The gym's named after him.
Yeah.
Bob got the stadium. He got the gym.
Let's see.
You need 3 more?
That I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Boy.
One I agree with. The other 2, like I feel like they're just kind of fixating on the athletic, like well-rounded athlete, I guess would be the term.
Serena Williams.
Yep, there you go. Serena Williams is number 2, 23 Grand Slam single titles, most in the Open era, dominated for over 2 decades and revolutionized women's sports.
Well, I guess,
I'm not necessarily pushing against. I mean, I guess your biggest issue is the number ranking that she's in, but I mean,
I had no problem with her being on the list.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is there another tennis player on there? I guess it's cheating.
There is not another tennis player on there. There was the 3 honorable mentions of Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. You could go with either one of those 3 recently, and you could argue over each one of them because each one had their different, Federer, you could probably make the case was the best, but then Nadal and Jokic as well.
Joker's looking to pass Federer's titles, Grand Slam titles. So
I guess it comes down to which one is better over multiple.
Yeah, it really just depends. And all three
surfaces.
All 3 of them had dominated on different surfaces. Roger loved the grass. Nadal's the king of clay.
Yeah.
And then Joker loves the Australian and U.S. Opens. He loves the hard court.
Yeah, he likes the hard court. That's the thing. So, I'm out on the last 2. I don't want to belabor it for this is going to turn into bad radio.
Number 9, Bo Jackson.
Oh.
Multi-sport, football, baseball, only athlete to be an all-star in both the NFL and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, there's your athlete, yeah.
Symbol of raw athleticism, Bo knows became a cultural movement. And then Jackie Joyner-Kersee, track and field. 6 Olympic medals, 3 gold, world record in heptathlon that still stands. Dominated multiple events, champion for female athletes. Other honorable mentions were LeBron James.
Is Carl Lewis on there?
No.
Oh,
The
okay.
only,
That's a miss. That's a
only other was Diego Maradona and Lionel Messi.
yeah. Messi was one I was thinking of. Maradona should not be on there. Maradona had a moment where and fucking cheated, and he got away with it. Otherwise, and he was really good, but that was more of a cultural phenom than anything else. Carl Lewis should be on there. That guy had the record in two different competitions at the same time. Both are usually just hard enough to do one.
Yeah.
And I think he set the world record. He had to set the world record twice in the long jump because he had to beat. He got it, and then Powell got it, and then he got it back.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Yeah,
Well,
Carl. You know what? I appreciate that Jackie Joyner Kersey is on there because she is arguably the greatest. I know other females are on that list. She's arguably the greatest female athlete, but it's track and field. We don't follow track and field anymore. But again, Carl Lewis was unbelievable.
So, fun thing to add to the whole LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate. So, if any of you are listening to this is actually a fallacy, but I like this fallacy. I thought it was pretty funny that somebody was using. So you ask people LeBron James or Michael Jordan, but before we get to that, I'll actually ask this other question that I got asked the other day, which was, who would you prefer to take your free throws for you, Shaquille O'Neal or Steph Curry?
I suppose Steph. I assume he's better.
Yeah, who would you prefer to? But here's the thing that's actually funnier.
I don't want Shaq taking free throws, so
nobody wants Shaq taking free throws. That's why the Hack a Shaq thing came about.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the fun fact for you: Shaquille O'Neal has more made free throws than Steph Curry.
Okay, but that's not percentage though.
Right.
But he's made more.
But that's the whole idea when people talk about LeBron James and his titles, and he's like, well, he's been to more, and he's been, but who do you want with you at the line when it comes down to it with the whole and I get it, like it's not like it doesn't carry over specifically or whatever, but I think it's funny because you're like, everybody, you'd be stupid to not pick Steph Curry as the person that you want to take your free throws for you. But Shaquille O'Neal has technically made more. So even if LeBron James wins more titles, like let's say he wins next year or whatever, if he doesn't retire, and he wins more titles than Michael Jordan ever did, does that necessarily mean that he's better?
Oh, well, that's a whole discussion about team titles being overweighting who the greatest player is. There's a lot of players that I think get missed, and it's just because
you have to win a championship.
You didn't win a championship, which winning a championship is a team. That's a team accolade. John Elway hadn't won a championship for a long time until he won. People don't remember Michael Jordan. It took Michael Jordan 6-8 years before he won a title. I think 8 years. I think he came in the league in 84, 85. He didn't win until 93, 94, somewhere around there. And it was getting to the point where, because he kept losing to Detroit. To Boston. Kept getting bounced by Boston. Not even in the semifinals of the conference.
Yeah.
And then he was getting beat by Detroit, and then those teams went away. And again, people were questioning whether or not he was a choker. And I was like, okay, he's losing to the Boston Celtics. The '86 Celtics are arguably the greatest team of all time. Let's assume he even made it to the final. The '87 Lakers are arguably the second greatest team of all time, or switch one of those. Say the Lakers '87 and '86 Celtics are two. But those two teams right there are hands down, I think, in modern basketball. And I start modern basketball around 1980. The game's even different now than it was in the '80s, but it's not dramatically different. I still say those two teams, despite even what the Bulls did and all those you take those two teams, '86 Celtics, '87 Lakers, those are the best teams ever. The Celtics had Bill Walton coming off the bench at center.
Yeah. And
he was the greatest college player of all time and would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't have bad ankles. So anyway, there's a lot of players who get graded down. It's like, well, he hasn't won, or he hasn't won enough, or she hasn't won enough. It's just a stupid look. If they've got these stats they're all the same, and that's all we got left. That's fine. But
That's
you
what I
hear
always
Tom Brady all the time. Well, he's the GOAT because of the number of Super Bowls he won. Yeah, well, he's arguably got the greatest coach of all time too. And I don't, I don't want to demean. I We should want more Tom Brady's in the league than what we have. He worked hard. He's a professional. I don't have a problem with Tom Brady, but you can't just say like who's the greatest of all time because he won all these Super Bowls and he still won one on the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's like, okay, well, sure. That doesn't necessarily make you the greatest player of all time, though.
Yeah, and I think that's why even on this list that ChatGPT came up with, which is wild still that Tiger isn't on there, because again,
I would have thought Tiger. Like I thought Tiger was a slam dunk. I felt like an idiot for saying Tiger third.
yeah, just like I would have thought Tiger would have been a slam dunk, and again, he's not even an honorable mention. Where again, you're looking at somebody who, when it comes,
maybe ChatGPT doesn't count golf as a sport. Maybe it counts as a recreation.
But the thing is, wait, no, because the Masters has been on like all of its lists or whatever for greatest sporting events. And I mean, I don't know. You're talking about individual accolades versus, team efforts kind of stuff. And so that's kind of hard when you're comparing, so I don't know, but it was fun. It's good to see.
Well, look, I don't think LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time, but I will admit
he's not even the greatest Laker of all time.
I will admit that I don't like LeBron, and so if someone said he's the greatest player of all time, it's not a crazy take. It's like, all right, I can see that.
No, I can see why people would think that.
But I disagree with it because I think I don't like athleticism recency bias, because then all you're doing is just shoving.
Yeah, you forgot about Kobe.
50 years, 100 years of the sport because this guy's now the most athletic of all time. And I just think, if you've watched yes, I watched Jordan, and it's one of those things like no one's going to be better than Jordan after you see him.
Well, and actually I had that same kind of issue today because I was watching some guys do who would you take in their prime versus another version of somebody else's prime. And it was Clayton Kershaw, and so it was going through Clayton Kershaw versus all these other pitchers. And what was dumb was like the guy was like going off of like, he's like, if I'm taking prime this, then I'm taking this person. Or if I'm going prime, then I'm taking this person. He's like, I can't look at their full career or whatever. And then it was like, but then he choose other people based off of their career. Like he chose Justin Verlander over Clayton just because he was like his career. And I was like, what are you doing? Which I'm not opposed to him sitting there and taking Verlander, but after you gave all these excuses before where you were like, I can't focus on the career, but then focused on the career for Verlander, I was like, okay.
Yeah, pick a lane and stick with it.
Right? I was like, okay.
However, I do like that if he'd stuck to it. One of the problems I have, including the aforementioned high school friends that I have, where we get in these arguments, is they start grading down people because of how their careers ended.
Oh yeah.
And I always feel that you've got to grade them on whatever their peak like 3 or 4 years are, because you can't expect these guys to just like quit at the top. Because when they do, then all we do is shit on them and say like, oh, they quit too soon.
Yeah, and we'll never be a Hall of Famer from there.
They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They either quit too soon or they stayed too late, and then you start grading them down because they weren't that great in their last 3 or 4 years. Yeah, because everybody has. I'm sorry, even at work, like doctors, you're probably better in your 40s than you are in your late 50s because you're younger, but you've also had the 10,000 hours of mastering it. And so you have a peak. That doesn't mean you're a bad doctor when you're 50. It just means your peak was 40. You're in and out. You got it. You're on this thing. Like a lot of us, even non-sports things, like your peak is this 5 or 10 year period. And then you're still really good after that. And then you start fading. But it's the same with athletes. And I see these guys get graded down. I was like, oh, they're really not good. It's almost as if like, we got duped by those 3 or 5 or 6 years that they were really good, and now this lesser is really what they are. Like, no, it's called age.
Yeah. Crazy how that works. Wild.
All right. This is going to be a fairly light episode. I think at the end we'll get a little. Do you want to do the light thing? You want to stick with the light or get the.
Yeah, we can go light.
Oh, excuse me. All right. We're recording on July 1st. And today, New York Times released their top. Was it today or yesterday? Today or yesterday. New York Times released their top 100 movies of the 21st century. I know you guys love it when we do lists, Andy. We're not going to go through the 100 movies. I guarantee you that. We're not going to talk about the 100 movies, but we do have thoughts on their list. I will stipulate lists are hard to do. We never finished the Rolling Stone top 100 of all time. And even though I had a lot of complaints about some of the stuff on there, the more we got into it, the more I appreciated how hard it is if you're going to sit. It's kind of a fool's errand to sit down and rank top 100, top 50. So that said, if you're going to put it out there, it is meant for water cooler fodder. Excuse me. Boy, that beer was good, but it's giving me the burps more than other beers. So we do have thoughts, though. Just to be clear, this wasn't New York Times didn't get their 3 movie critics or their 1 movie critic or their arts and entertainment department together and do this list. They apparently sent out they invited 500 Hollywood types. They haven't said who the names were, but it's from what it seems like it is actors, directors, movie executives, et cetera, to rank. I don't know if they did 100. I don't know how. Anyway, they were part of putting together this list. And I will just say my general observation was there were a lot of Asians doing this list. Because, man, there's a lot of Asian movies on here.
There's a lot of fucking hipsters that made this list.
And there's a lot of movies.
Which is fine. Listen, I mean,
should go.
I do want to preface before I go into this that there's a lot of movies on here that are like movie nerds love those movies. Like number 1 on the list, I'm sorry, like that's a movie nerd movie.
Oh, well, number 2. Look,
which I'm not like I get it, but like
I would say most of the I like a lot of some of these movies in the top 10, but I would say most of these in the top 10 are movie nerd movies.
Yeah, I'm like, and so you're just like, okay, like I'm sorry. Number 1 is Parasite by Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Number 1, I'm like, sure, if you want to give it its recognition, but again, like, give it the hipster spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to say number 1 is wild to me.
Well, I don't even. Number 2 is Mulholland Drive, and I don't even think that's a good movie. I hated that movie. I saw it once in the theater. I might have told this on the podcast before. I saw that movie in the theater and got about 90% through it, and an old couple stood up to get up and leave.
I've never seen it, so I don't.
And there was like 10 minutes left, and I was like, "Really? You're leaving now?
I didn't know.
You're leaving now?
I think you've told that.
You could have left like if you're gonna leave, you should have left like 45 minutes. Like we're well into this being a shit movie. Like, and I'm saying it loud enough for the whole theater to hear, and it wasn't like a packed theater. And my buddy John was laughing his butt off, and I'm like, "You're leaving now. Like you might as well just like stay for the whole night." They're kind of give me the stink eye, but I hated that movie. I have not seen it since. I have no desire to see it. It's very weird. It's number 2 because there's a lesbian thing about it. I guarantee you. There's 2 girls who have a lesbian relationship, but there's like a demon thing in this. It's a very weird. I mean, David Lynch is the director. He everything he makes is bizarre. So
There Will Be Blood is number 3.
I really like that movie. You could argue that
you could argue it could be on the list.
Okay. Can we? I think before we start going through the list, I'm going to make an observation. The list, when I saw this list, if you want a reason, if you want a clear understanding of why Hollywood is not doing well, this list is a problem because 60 to 70% of this list is art house movies. And I'm sorry, if you look at the 20th century top 100 list, that is not the case. Most of those movies are exceptional movies, and most of them did well at the box office. And this, you know me, Colton, and I think people who've listened to the show, I'm a pretty good consumer of TV and movies. There are a shit ton of movies on here I've never heard of, let alone seen. In the Mood for Love, never heard of, never seen. Spirited Away, I vaguely know.
That is considered...
I vaguely know. I've never watched it. I do know that it is worth being on the list. I don't think it's worth being number 9.
It's Studio Ghibli's. It is considered the greatest animated film of all time. I haven't seen it. I'm just letting you know that in animation critic world, it is considered the greatest animated film of all time.
And I will say,
I don't know.
Stuff on here.
Again,
what I do appreciate about lists like this is I'm going through and looking at things I've never seen or heard of, and like, all right, I can.
Y tu mamá también.
I have seen Y tu mamá también. I saw it when it came out. That's a wild flick. The Zone of Interest. Never heard of it. Never seen it. Looked it up. It's about the general and his wife who run Auschwitz, and it's basically them living next door. Looks very interesting. What else have I not ever seen? I've seen Zodiac. I've seen Anatomy of a Fall. I have not seen, nor do I remember hearing about. The Separation at 33. A Prophet at 35. Call Me by Your Name. I don't think so. Maybe.
Have you watched Let the Right One In?
Which one's that one?
70 by Tomas Alfred.
No.
Isn't that a vampire movie?
I don't know. I mean, the other thing is you can see by I have a spreadsheet, but I printed this out in order. If I pulled the spreadsheet up really quick, I could be able to answer this, but I can tell you right now, you can also see who they love. They love Ang Lee. He's got, 4 or 5. There's a lot of P.T. Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson movies, which, look, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. He's probably one of my, if not my favorite director.
There's too much Quentin Tarantino on here for me, personally.
What do we got? We've got
Kill Bill, Inglourious Bastards, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Kill Bill, Volume 1.
See, I wouldn't have put Kill Bill. I would have put Django Unchained.
Yeah, but also Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, listen, I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I wouldn't sit there and say it's one of the top 100 films of the 21st century. It's good. It's fun. It's a slow burn.
I've only seen it once. I need to see it again. I remember being blown away by it, but yeah, I agree.
You don't remember being blown away?
No, I do remember being blown away. There's only one Spielberg
Inglourious
movie.
Bastards is ranked 14th best movie of the 21st century.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of pushing it. I mean, Brokeback Mountain at 17.
That's wild.
I mean, I thought at the time when everyone was wiring about it, it's just because it's 2 gay cowboys. It's not
it was
really
a conversational piece. That doesn't mean that it's, the Christopher Nolan love is cool and all. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, and I haven't seen Oppenheimer. And Inception I have seen, but Interstellar isn't on here. Oh, yeah, it is. There it is. So he's on there 4 different times.
Again, that makes sense because, again, he's on there 4 times. Wes Anderson, I see 2 in the top 22.
And at least they chose his best movies, although, I haven't seen Oppenheimer, so I don't have anything.
Oppenheimer is exceptional.
I was like,
but it is very much a Christopher Nolan. It's big, grand music.
Black Panther is fine. I think that's one of the best of the superhero movies. I like the story of that one, the overall message, the style of it was really well done.
That came in 96.
I don't mind that sneaking in on the list. That's fine.
Okay. So they were a little, my other complaint was they were a little light on the comedies. And
why is Bridesmaids?
Bridesmaids is way too high.
It's funny.
It's funny, but if you're gonna do a comedy that high, I would have put Anchorman that high. Because here's the thing about Anchorman, and if you were, I think even if you're a fan of Anchorman, just actually think about what Anchorman. The plot of Anchorman is 4 or 5, no, an entire staff of men lose their shit because a woman gets a job. I mean, it's arguably a funny woke movie, even though it's not woke. It's just telling.
Yeah.
It's telling in a very funny, ridiculous, absurd way how society changed in the 70s and 80s. But it does it so much that I think the average person who's watched Anchorman doesn't actually sit down and think like, well, okay, what is that movie really about?
Well, I mean, Bridesmaids is only one worse than The Departed. So, I would definitely put those two movies right next to each other, wouldn't you? At 31 and 32, I'd be like, all right, the 31st best movie of the 21st century would be The Departed, and 32nd best movie would be Bridesmaids. 2 later, we're going to put WALL-E.
Okay, see, that's another thing. Like, so WALL-E's on here, and what, Ratatouille?
Okay, I feel like for any of you that have probably only watched like Ratatouille once, I mean, for those of you that have probably only watched WALL-E once, I know that Toy Story gets all the love, Cars, whatever. And actually, I'd put Cars. Cars needs to be a conversation, but I do think that Ratatouille is one of the best Pixar films that's ever come out.
Yeah, but Toy Story 3?
No, I know.
Monsters, Inc.?
Up is on there.
Yeah, Up wasn't on there.
I think Toy Story doesn't get the cut because Toy Story 1 is before.
No, I bet Toy Story 3 though.
I know Toy Story 3 is good, but I don't know. It's established character. I don't see any sequels on the list at all.
I'm gonna pull my spreadsheet up.
I mean, they didn't, bro. I was like, you want to talk about what the Fellowship of the Ring isn't even
okay?
Like,
so I knew you were gonna.
I
agree with that.
But if you look at it, there's no sequels on the list. Like it's Kill Bill Volume 1. Like it's Fellowship of the Ring. So they just don't believe that it's Ocean's 11, which that's the best one. So like there's no, I'm not fighting for anything there, but it's saying that there is no such thing, which is probably Michael Bay wasn't a part of the discussion because sequels weren't included on this list. They were like, nah, those are all just cash grabs.
All right. So there's 4 Alfonso Cuarón movies, Children of Men, which is 13, and it deserves to be 13. I've mentioned...
But The Wolf of Wall Street at 20.
Hang on.
Okay.
Children of Men, if you've not seen it, I know I've mentioned it to you, I think, in off air. If you have not watched Children of Men, watch it. It's based on a book. The book is... I know, but I'm pointing this out for a reason. The book is... it's based on a book. The book is about how the world's gone sterile because of abortions and sterilizing women, and now no one's having babies, and so humanity's dying out. And we have this child that comes along who can have children. The movie kind of intermixes immigration into it, but it actually does it in a very smart way and not in an overhanded way. It has some of, if not the best action sequences I've ever seen in a movie. So it is both deep and thought-provoking, and it is one of the most impressively filmed movies I've ever seen. So definitely, I'll give you some other movies on here that you might not know about that are on the list. Alfonso Cuarón is Gravity, which was really good, but Gravity, Roma, Y Tu Mama Tambien, Children of Men. If you've not seen Y Tu Mama Tambien, don't see it with your children, or if you just don't like sex, don't, because it's filthy. Christopher Nolan has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's his fifth one?
The Dark Knight.
Oh, there's a sequel. There we go. That's one.
And I have no problem with The Dark Knight being
No,
on
that's
there
the
because
best
it was
superhero movie of all time.
I thought it was both a great movie and it is socially profound. It earned it.
That is the greatest superhero movie of all time. There won't be another one.
David Fincher has 3. That's Zodiac, The Social Network, and Gone Girl.
What was the 5th one from?
Nolan was Interstellar, Oppenheimer, Memento.
Oh yeah, Memento on there. That was the last one.
Which is, that's the thing. It's almost, I have a problem with so many repeat directors, but this might be a problem of Hollywood, and there's not a lot of directors making really good movies, if anything.
Also, how come Wes Anderson doesn't have Fantastic Mr. Fox on there? If you're going to put animation on there, I was like...
David Fincher has Gone Girl is probably the best of the 3, and it's 64. Gone Girl is just hands down a better movie than Social Network. I love Social Network. It's very rewatchable. Zodiac is not because it's the subject nature. I'm a little surprised Denis Villeneuve only has 1, and that's Arrival, which is an amazing movie.
Also, Jordan Peele's Get Out being that high up on the list is so
people love that movie, and they love Jordan Peele. I'm not a horror fan, so I've never seen any of those movies. It's just, I don't like them. I don't have a problem with people watch. Well, some of them, some of the stuff that they make, I think is pretty bad, but.
And then
Denis Villeneuve, I'm a little surprised one of the Dunes didn't make it on, which Denis Villeneuve did too. Also,
how many
I'm a little surprised
how many Bennett Millers are there?
I'm a little surprised the Blade Runner 2049 wasn't on, which is also Denis Villeneuve movie. Ethan Coen, the Coen brothers have 4: No Country for Old Men, A Serious Man, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and Inside Llewyn Davis. I don't really have a problem. Those are all really fantastic movies.
I've never seen No Country for Old Men. I don't have any intention to see it.
Isn't that a?
Yeah, it's Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah, well, they're very they're very true to it in the movie.
Yeah,
I've only seen it once, and it was like, all right, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Scorsese's got his 2, The Departed and Wolf of Wall Street. Look, okay. I think Wolf of Wall Street's a lot of fun. I don't really think it's great cinema. I don't think
it's great cinema either.
It's a lot of fun. It's a good movie, but it's not a top 100 movie, I don't think.
No.
It shouldn't be on here.
The Big Short should be over that, like, in a heartbeat.
I agree. The Big Short is a better movie.
100%. I'm like, I don't even, like...
I mean, again, The Wolf of Wall Street is about as entertaining as it gets and all that, but it's not. I don't think it's great cinema.
Yeah, his life is entertaining. And I mean, like, DiCaprio and Jonah Hill do a good job. Like, I'm not taking away from them on that, but I'm just like, come on.
P.T. Anderson's got There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread. I really like Phantom Thread, but you got to be a big cinema fan to put that on there. The Master, which is about the guy who started Scientology, and that's very good movie. And then Punch Drunk Love, which is fantastic. That movie is the first movie and one of only 3, I think, where Adam Sandler doesn't play himself and he actually has to act. And you can see, like, oh, this guy is actually a really good actor.
Funny you should say that, because another one where that is happening is also on here, Uncut Gems.
I didn't notice that Uncut Gems was on there.
Yep, 58.
See, and I think
right behind Best in Show. Which love for Best in Show.
I did notice that Best in Show was on there, and yeah, any one of his movies getting on here, whether it be Waiting for Gilmore or that one, not Waiting. Yeah, I'm glad that he got one on there, and we all saw Best in Show together 2 years ago and laughed our ass off.
It's so funny. Borat is crazy for being on here.
Yeah, Borat. I mean, that's asinine.
Same as you said, Superbad. Come on, I love Superbad. I love it, but like, okay, I don't know if there was anything super okay, it introduced us to Seth Rogen films for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing deep or anything about that. I don't think it's illustrative of If I'm putting a comedy on the top 100 list, I'm putting Mean Girls or Easy A on there because I think they're both
100%.
funny, but they also have something to say about
Societal.
society or teen culture at the time.
100%.
Where Superbad is not. Superbad is it's a wacky, funny movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It's one of the funniest movies I've seen in the last 30 years.
Quotable,
But
100%,
it's not. There's nothing deep and I think this list should be. I do think there's too many movies here that no one saw. So one, somebody's got to see the fucking thing. But also, there's got to be. It can't just be it's funny or we thought it was funny. Superbad's just three dumbasses spending a night on the town trying to figure out how to get drunk so they can impress a girl or buy some booze.
And then Gladiator at 92 is crazy.
Yeah, I'm shocked how that movie hasn't aged. And I just saw it like 3 weeks ago then I saw the new one that came out. I was like, this movie hasn't aged at all.
The first Gladiator is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that should be a top. First of all, I thought it was older than that. I would have told you it was a 90s movie.
It's 2002, right? 2001?
Two Spike Jones, her and adaptation, those are pretty good.
Ocean's 11 being on there is fantastic. I'm glad that at least made the list.
It's a remake of a movie, but it's still it earns it.
Well, and it's a way better remake. I was like, I've seen the old one.
Yeah, I mean the old one's just the ring-a-ding boys and not much is going on.
Yeah, no. There was a couple of other movies.
Okay, so I have movies that I thought should be considered.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, man,
considered. I'm not saying they have to be on there, but just like, all right, well, what about these? Master and Commander. I think this is an exceptional movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you want to know what it's like to be on a boat, British ship in the British Navy ship in the 1800s, watch that. It's exceptional. It's exhilarating. It's tough to watch in parts. It's great.
I've got a couple to add.
It's Russell Crowe at his finest.
No, we already talked about that one. It was Gladiator.
Master and Commander's up there. I mentioned Toy Story. Finding Nemo, that's not on there. Again, I mean,
great stories to listen. I mean,
I
think there are a variety of. I think a lot of Pixar films can be up for debate when it comes to that. Where it's like, I do think that Up carries the weight of this. Kind of talking about that societal thing that you were talking about. And don't get me wrong, I think Finding Nemo does that too, but I do feel like there is a bit of a recency bias sometimes with some of these things where it's like, all right, these ones are more recent, so people forget how good, like what's the one that's always forgotten now? Like most people don't even remember Bug's Life or whatever, but
I know, but that's the thing. Like Finding Nemo is part of the culture.
Yeah.
And it's an exceptional story.
Yeah.
And
I
it
think so
did
too.
exceptionally well at the box office. I just this can't just be like, I took some classes or, this doesn't check all the things that I learned from my Polish
No, yeah, and the music's fantastic.
Movie professor that I took at my third year at USC film school. It's like, no. There, again, there's a reason why you guys are failing at the box office by some of this stuff. And I don't want to make a big deal about the animation. Although, I mean, animation, here's another animation, and it's different than the ones that are on the list. But I would argue it should absolutely, for a whole bunch of reasons. I would have put on mine Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah, no, that
because the animation is fresh.
So everybody talks about Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away is #1 animated movie of all time. And then but it's debatable that Into the Spider-Verse might be better than it. So those are like the two supposedly best animated movies of all time. And I can't believe that Spider-Verse wasn't on there. That animation style is amazing. The music's fantastic. The story's great.
The story's great, the story's great where you could take an 8-year-old and they would love the hell out of it, and 2/3 of the movie go right over their head.
Yeah.
But they'd still love it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's fun and they can follow the action and it moves at a pretty good pace, and they could empathize with him and how he's not, and so that one was one I was like, that definitely could be on there. Spielberg's only got one movie on there, and I know Spielberg 21st Century is not as great as he was 20th Century, but you can make a case of Lincoln should be on there. That was a big movie. It's got what's his name is Lincoln is, we don't have any movies of Lincoln. We have pictures of him. We know and we have very vivid descriptions of him from various history books. Like when he does Lincoln, you're like, yeah, that's probably that he's looking and acting like Lincoln. I would have put Manchester by the Sea. That one was out about 5 years ago. That's got Casey Affleck in it. It's a great movie. But then that's more of an art house movie. I think it was done by Amazon Prime. It was in the theater, so that's kind of in the zone of.
There you go. There's your hipster pick.
Yeah, so I gotta watch myself. I would have put Casino Royale in there somewhere. There's no Bond movie,
100%.
and I know that's funny. There's people who don't like that Bond because they don't like vulnerable Bond. They like tough guy, doesn't give a shit Bond. I loved that Bond, the vulnerable, tough guy but vulnerable.
Daniel Craig's Bond is the best Bond.
Yeah. So I think that reset the franchise in a way that it really needed to be reset, and it's an exceptional movie. Another one that I really like, and I don't know how it did the box office, but I hear about it mentioned a lot, is in Bruges. It stars, what's his name? It's the Irish actor. Anyway, it's two assassins go off to Bruges, Belgium for a thing, and it's a fantastic movie. I'm not gonna spoil it. I saw some people. It's funny. I don't think Cruise has a single. No, he does. Cruise has one, and that's Spielberg's one. He has Minority Report.
Oh yeah. I was like,
you probably could have put one of the Mission Impossibles on there. Again, big box office. I think Fallout might have fallen on there, but I'm not going to get uppity about it. And then maybe Dune 2, which was, I thought, pretty good. It seemed like it did pretty well, but again, I'm not going to get crazy about it. I mean, there's just so many movies on here I've never heard of.
I have some that I think,
and then some on here that I hated. I did not like Black Swan. Despised that movie.
Yeah, it's not very good. Well, I mean, I don't know. There might be a section of humanity that relates to it. So I had a couple. Sundance Film Festival winner, 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, good call.
I was like, no way. I mean, that's a fantastic movie.
It's a great movie. It's got a great soundtrack, but it's got a quirky soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yep.
As people are starting to figure out that he's this, I think at this point he'd been in Inception.
He's no longer a childhood actor.
He's no longer a childhood actor on Third Rock from the Sun.
I think that 500 Days of Summer was before Inception.
It might have been. Actually, you might be right. Because I think I was like, oh, that's the dude. Yeah. That was right before then. And then he started getting stuff. And it's funny. He's never really picked up as an actor.
Yeah, no.
And I think it's probably by choice. And then that was Deschanel's probably second or third movie. Her first movie was, she played the sister in Almost Famous. And then maybe it had been one or two more things. But that was before really she picked up with
New Girl.
With what?
New Girl,
and then I think Elf. A lot of people.
Elf was before 500 Days of Summer, but I don't know.
Well, again, you might be right.
But at that point, she was just the love interest of a young girl looking.
But yeah, I remember stumbling upon that and watching just and it relates, I think, in a lot of ways for
sure
for male and females.
Yeah, I put The Big Short on there. I think it's worth a conversation. Into the Spider-Verse I put on there. I put Return of the King. It's won more Oscars than any other film. It swept the Oscars. It won 11 of the 11 things it was nominated for. And don't tell me it was a weak year. That's so dumb. If it was a weak year, it was because they all said that they were all like, oh, Return of the King's coming out this year. Let's not put out any movies. We're not going to win anything. That would be the only thing. I don't know if you necessarily agree with this one, so I'm going to wait until you get back before I bring it up. I did want to say, if we're talking about animated films and as far as impact goes, I feel like the reason why it may not get as much recognition is because it's been done ad nauseum at this point. But we also need to recognize the clout that Frozen has for animation and for Disney. I was like, whether we like it or not, that was the fastest Disney to Broadway movie that had ever been made. And that beat out The Lion King, which went to Broadway really quickly. But Frozen.
Oh, yeah. I guess. Yeah.
And it
I
also
mean,
reestablished Disney as the dominant, like it Pixar was starting to fall off a little bit. Like they had come up with a couple of ones, and then Disney put out a solo title that brought back princesses and was like, here we go. We're back in this. And I get it. You're tired of Let It Go because everybody's daughter sings it ad nauseum and you had to watch it 5,000 times and whatever. And I get that. But also don't take that out of what the moment was and what the movie was when it first came out. It's extremely well done. Story, extremely well done movie. And if you only watched it one time or two times, then you probably are still like, wow, that was really good. That's how I feel because I didn't have a little sister or something like that was watching it a ton. I saw it in college and I was like, oh, wow, that was actually really good. The King's Speech.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Was the one that I was like, I don't know how you necessarily felt about that one. I thought
I think that's an exceptional movie. That's great.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. The message that's being portrayed,
and it generally conveys the history correctly, and it's a interesting part of British history that I don't think most Americans know that, and it does it in the way that it's intended. Of some crazy person actually abdicated the throne.
Yeah,
because he did want to divorce. He did want to marry his American former hooker.
And for the last one, now I could come up with more. It's just off the top of my head. I mean, I still think like Baby Driver could be an advocate. Like, could it be a part of the conversation for this list or whatever? But if we're talking comedies, and we're talking huge box office success or whatever, I remember that this was in like the theaters for like 4 or 5 months because like it was selling out so much. It was selling out theaters. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is hysterical. It holds up to this day. And like I remember like being a kid and like it came out and it came out like in the fall and it got to Thanksgiving time and it was in theaters and then people were still going and seeing it at Christmas, and people were then seeing it in January and February. And you're like, how is that thing still going? And it's like, because that many people want to still go and see it. So I don't know. I think it's worth the conversation if we're going to do comedies and stuff like that. I think people forget about how good that one is, but it's really funny and good. So anything else? You have anyone?
I do. I'm going to go through the list of. I'm going to give you all my movies from the list that maybe are kind of art house movies that I'm not going to assume everyone's seen that I think should be seen. Okay. 23 is Boyhood. It's a Richard Linklater movie. You should definitely see that. It's got, boy, I shouldn't start thinking without knowing where I'm going with. Oh, I can't remember the name. Oh, it's Ethan Hawke as the dad. It's actually filmed in real life. So the movie takes like 10 years or something to film. So they have a kid. It's a movie about Ethan Hawke and his relationship with his son. And the movie is filmed as the kid is growing up. So it's literally the same actor from when he's a little kid, a boy, to when he's like a teenager. And that in and of itself is just so crazy, inventive. And the fact that Hollywood gave him the ability to do that. Richard Linklater. Yeah. So that one's one. That one's number 23. Moneyball. Probably most people have seen that one. I think that, though, I just want to punctuate that one. I love Moneyball. It's a great movie.
Great movie. Great book.
Great book. Almost Famous. I've mentioned that on here before a lot. But again, if you're a big fan of rock and roll, like old rock and roll, definitely see that. It's written and directed by Cameron Crowe. It's an autobiographical movie about a kid in his teens who's writing for Rolling Stone, and that Cameron Crowe was literally writing for Rolling Stone as like a 17-year-old. on the road with bands like Led Zeppelin and The Who and whatnot. 48, right after Almost Famous, is The Lives of Others. That one would actually be my number one movie of the century. It is a movie about what it was like to live in East Germany under communism, and it very much puts you into the feeling of what it's like to be spied on all the time, to have people ratting people out. It is unbelievable, and probably the most clear, concise portrayal of what it's like to live under communism. It's a great movie. The Lives of Others. Whiplash, number 60. This is not for everybody. A lot of people don't like it. I love that movie. It's about a drummer at music school with
I'm not a fan personally.
crazy teacher. I love that movie though. Again, a lot of people don't. But I find it fantastic. Number 66 is Spotlight by Tom McCarthy. Spotlight is a movie about the special investigative team at the Boston Globe that broke the Catholic priest scandal around. They started reporting it. Well, they were going to report it around 9/11, and the story got pushed until after 9/11. But it goes through the whole history of Boston, how it was known in Boston that that a lot of priests were molesting children and then just being pushed on to other places and wasn't being dealt with by the Vatican or the local parish. And basically it's a story about how the whole thing got brought to light. And we've talked about it before on the show, how I believe that's one of the reasons why people have left the church, and it's not really widely discussed. 83, Inside Llewyn Davis, Joel and Ethan Coen. It's basically kind of about a guy who's kind of like a Bob Dylan type singer. He's a guy trying to make it, and it's a fantastic movie. It's got Isaacson, who's in the Star Wars movie, the latest Star Wars movies, and a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, those are my lists, or my movies on the list to see. There's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on here I don't even recognize. If I looked them up and saw the movie poster or something, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that. Anything else? There's a couple of them. Little Miss Sunshine, that's a good one.
Yeah, Little Miss Sunshine's good.
Another
21 Years a
movie.
Slave, like, I get it.
Hurt Locker's on here at 68. That's another one. I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me just feels like that movie hasn't aged well. Like it meant something in the moment because everyone was souring on Iraq, and we're like, okay, we've been sold a shitty bill of goods. And like, if I watched it again, I don't know that it would necessarily hit me like that. And if you're going to put that movie on there, it'd almost be better to put Zero Dark 30 on there.
Yeah.
Which is an exceptional movie.
Or Fargo. I was like,
oh, yeah. Pan's Labyrinth. I know enough about that. I don't want to watch it. Isn't that like a child horror kind of thing?
I've never seen it, nor have I read anything about it. I'm like, nah.
It's Guillermo del Toro, who also did all those spy movies with the Hispanic kids, or the kids were the spies.
It was literally called Spy Kids.
Spy Kids? I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go.
Like,
I think he did all those.
What are all those movies where the kids are spies?
Yeah.
Just flip your words around.
Lost in Translation, Sofia Coppola, that was a pretty good one. 32, I mean, Bridesmaids is funny, but it's not that funny. It's a cute movie.
Yeah, it's funny. I listen, I do think that's the best all-female comedy-driven movie that I've seen. Unless you can come up with another one off the top of your head that I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm forgetting that one.
I don't think it's much funnier than the one where there's a movie where all the moms are divorced and they have a bunch of someone's recently divorced.
Yeah, the one with Mila Kunis.
Yes, there you go.
Bad Moms.
I don't think it's that marginally funnier than Bad Moms.
I think Bridesmaids was before it though. So
it was.
If you were going to sit there and say like, okay, this one was in order enough for you to sit there and say, or in order enough for Bad Moms to be considered greater, it would have to greatly surpass if it was inspired by Bridesmaids or whatever, that whole kind of thing. So I don't know.
What was the Tom Cruise movie where he keeps reliving?
Oh, that's it.
Something Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
That one I would put on there. I really like that movie. I
haven't
thought
seen
it was very inventive. Very inventive. I don't know. It's probably based on a book, but I thought it was
It's definitely a
exceptional.
sci-fi concept. I was like,
all right, well, I think we've killed that.
well, and I mean, that was just, I mean, really, they were copying it from Groundhog's Day. So
What?
I said they were really just copying it from Groundhog's Day. So
All right, so we got one serious topic.
yeah, after I use the restroom. So Tim's going to introduce our second beer.
Second beer, which was not canned properly because both yours and mine exploded on us. This is Lincoln Beer Company from Burbank, California. The Hollywood Way West Coast IPA coming in at 6.5% ABV. It's using Bravo, Chinook, Cryo, Citra. Let me slow down. It is using Bravo, Chinook, Cryo, Citra, Mosaic, and Strata hops. I think we had Lincoln one time before on the show. I brought it home when I was staying in Los Angeles for business. It's pretty good. It's fairly good. It's not as good as the other one. It has a little bit of a, I don't know well, I'm not quite there where I can describe the flavor profiles correctly. Maybe when we take our advanced class, I can do that. But there's just something about this. It's a little more funky than the first one, but it's still pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's all right. I feel like it's a little, it doesn't have as much flavor as the first one, in my opinion. I feel like it's a little rounder. I don't know.
When was this? 3/21/25.
It's also fuller in body. It's thicker in your mouth.
Yeah, that Breakside was tasty. Should have got more of that.
Yeah, it was good. Shout out Oregon for making good beer still.
That would have been a good pool beer. Pool IPA. I have a lot of pool beer, but a good pool IPA, that's different.
Yeah, it was 6.8, so.
All right, so this might be a 5-minute conversation, might be 45 minutes, I don't know. I clued Colton in on the topic, but I don't know if he's had time to think about it. But someone had brought this up, so obviously we've been spending the last couple of weeks talking a lot about Middle East and war and the threat of wider war and that kind of thing. You and I have been talking on the show for quite a while about we're over our country's seemingly only response to anything is use of force. And someone raised this question because you can see it in the polls. Polling's very clear. There's an age divide in the use of military force, and anybody I don't probably pull up a poll while we're discussing this to give some kind of backing to this, but just trust me on this. If you're over a certain age, it dramatically flips on your support for the use of the U.S. military, use of military force. And so the question I had raised with Colton was, why do old people seem to want to go to war more than younger people? Because I do think I don't know that either one of us know the answer to that, but there does seem to be a clear divide. And Colton being 20...
I reached 30 this year.
30, and I'm 23 years older. You don't speak for all 30-year-olds, let alone I think there's probably a big gap between 30-year-olds and 25-year-olds these days. But just have a discussion on why that's the case. Because I have my I think I have my opinions on it, and I think these things matter, particularly even as Christians, because even though we'd like to think that we're being informed by our Christianity, I think we all know we're not always being informed by our Christianity. And I think a lot of us look at something and say, well, my Bible isn't clear about this, or there's exceptions to the rules, and I'm not criticizing any of these things. So why is it that older folks tend to support this kind of thing and younger folks don't?
I think like the easiest first answer, I think it's for several reasons. I don't feel like, we could get into several of them. I think one of the easiest reasons to get into is distance. Wars are fought by young people, but decided on by older people. I was like, nobody in Congress is of military service age. And those are the people that decide whether or not we go to war. And so who do they send to war? Young people. It's not old people that are going out there and fighting. And so, like, I mean, you may sit there and say that's low hanging fruit, but in all honesty, like, I know that it may mean something for somebody who's like, well, their sons and daughters and their granddaughters and their grandsons. And it's like, it's one thing to sit there and say that those people are going out. And it's another thing when it's your friends, the people the same age as you, when it's like, you could be drafted, right? Like I was like, high schoolers, they talk about getting drafted. They hate the thought of talking about World War III. They legitimately are afraid of themselves getting drafted. And I know that seems weird, and like maybe some of you are like, no, they don't. And I'm like, I can tell you honestly that I've had a conversation a year about it with students. I was like, at least one conversation a year about it with students talking about the draft and that, hey, it's okay. Like, trying to talk about ease anxieties over some of these things. And again, these are the people that you are asking to fight your wars. You're asking 20-year-olds to go and fight your wars. Older people. Old people are supportive and they believe in those concepts and those ideals, in which, again, when we look at the stages of development that are talked about in psychology and what are the focuses of each individual age. So if you didn't know, in it's not just in child development, it's actually in the full development of humans. We have stages of development. And so there's quite a few through childhood, and there become different priorities to be set for each of the stages. But when you are in your 20s to 30s, again, it's about you, and it's very centralized on what it is that you are doing. And it's talking about, and then also about reproducing. There is a desire in our bodies to reproduce. There's something in our cultural norms and just that our focus is to go find a mate and reproduce. And so death and dying is not something that is on that list. And if you're sitting there and saying, well, not everybody dies in war, but people are dying in war, right? People do die in war. And so to voluntarily give that up and the ones that do it are, they're adrenaline junkies, but for the most part, our bodies want to resist that. And then when you are of this older generation, again, your focus is about leaving something behind. And so one of the things that they focus on when it comes to leaving something behind is leaving behind this democracy, these things that we should fight for, that we should strive for, to leave behind for other generations. Even though they're not necessarily somebody that's going to be a part of it. They want to leave something behind. And so therefore they support sending young people to war. And can we at least, is it too much to say, like, am I being over dramatic when I sit there and say sending young people to war? Because are there old people going to war and I just don't know it? Like,
No.
Oh, and that's the whole concept where
I think it's deeper than this, though.
I do too.
I don't think it's wrong. I don't think what you're saying is wrong, but I think there's more to it.
I do. I as well. And that's why I said that it's the low hanging fruit. Like, again, but I think that still people should look in the mirror.
I can give you data that shows your low hanging fruit has not always been the case.
That old people have gone to war in the past, or you mean that young people have been supportive of war in the past? Yeah.
So,
well, I also think that we're at a different stage of where we are as a society.
Bingo. Well, yes, and for various reasons.
Yeah.
Some, I think.
Well, we've gotten away from a lot of the Valhalla ideologies of.
Well, losing has a thing too.
Yeah, but we've gotten away from. But I'm saying that like that used to be, and and we can't sit there and say that wasn't a part of our genetic makeup or cultural makeup in the United States. And I mean, like, it's not necessarily out. It just manifests itself in different ways. And so you could sit there and say, okay, well, war, what's the difference between war and getting into gang violence? And to which I can tell you the difference is when it comes to gang violence, nobody's going to tell you what the fuck to do. You don't have to.
I'm probably going to shock some people on this, who's even the folks that listen to this. I could make the case that it's more logical and rational for gang violence than it is for national violence.
Well, you're talking about from a personal perspective, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
You're talking about like
personal. I'm talking from a personal motivation.
If
not
I'm a 19-year-old boy, I will 100%. I'd throw down my life for gang violence over fighting for some freedoms that I'm not even afforded in this country. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it doesn't even have to be that. It's just like,
but yeah, I get paid. There's no tax dollars.
I think there's an assumption Americans make. There's an assumption that educated Americans make, and it's not a racist or it's not a bad assumption. But again, sometimes we have to check ourselves and say, like, that's the world you live in because you've had more opportunity, and don't read what I say as opportunity, meaning like I'm not saying like the other people were screwed. I'm just saying like you had more opportunity for whatever reason. Your parents worked harder, you worked harder, luck, I don't care, whatever reason for your more opportunity. And this really, I guess it's a TV show, but it's a very profound. You watch like shows like The Wire and a lot of stuff that are like in either very rural or very urban settings, like two extremes, very rural, very urban settings. Your average suburbanite just sees the world as interchangeable parts. Like, if I don't like this job, I can move somewhere else. If I don't like this house, I can move somewhere else. There is still, even though we live in a modern, postmodern, wealthy country, there is still a large, healthy, if not maybe a majority or close to 50% of America that sees where they live as where they live, and that is the world. They live in a fishbowl. They don't even understand the world outside, like 10, 15 miles outside of where they've been. Like, they know that. They know the little county they live in, or they know South Chicago. They don't even know the fuck about North Chicago. All they know is North Chicago's North Chicago. They like know Chicago, or they know Baltimore, or they know this borough. And a lot of us don't understand that. And so my point is, when you know when you know Crenshaw, or your world is this boulevard to that boulevard and this freeway to that freeway and everything else outside of that exists, you're going to fucking die for that world. And I don't give a shit about somebody in another country, let alone another state. And so, yes, it is nihilistic, it is simplistic, but that is just as rational in some ways as someone who's going to go off and die for someone they've never met in a country they've never been to, whose language they don't speak, and be like, I'm going to go die for them because they and freedom and elections and blah blah blah. And so, that was a side topic that we didn't, but I think it's still important. Like, don't poo-poo.
I don't think that's a side topic. I think that's still talking about why do old people support war and younger people don't. I think that's a very real situation. I mean, okay, and if we wanted to sit there and say, okay, well, 9/11, I was like, everybody supported the war. I was like, you just watched the single greatest, like, horrific terrorist attack in the world's history unfold. And so, yeah, everybody's like, we got to get them back. And so everybody had the eye for an eye mentality. I also think that what played a part in that is, and you can tell me I'm wrong because I wasn't alive with a lot of the 90s, I was alive for half of the 90s, but I don't have but a lot of people talk about it's the United States golden age, no problems in the 90s. And you're like, the fuck there were, but like that's kind of the way that it's portrayed in textbooks and in kind of this whole concept of just like, oh yeah, there's this, you go through in the 90s were kind of like this golden age of digitalization in the United States and becoming where we were, and everything was kind of blissful, blah blah blah, and then the terrorists attacked, changed it all. But from that we get this country that people are not aware of what war is or don't have a good idea. And so now post 9/11 and going into Afghanistan, going in and full media coverage 24/7. And all of a sudden people there's a real negative spin that's being put on war. And as things progress, and even I still say that I still attribute one of the main reasons why we lost, and I'm putting air quotes around losing the Vietnam War, because again, losing and winning wars when you've carpet bombed the entire fucking country and sent them back to the dark ages with what you did to that fucking country. And we're like, we lost that war. You have media coverage. And so pictures are being sent back of these horrific things. The United States is performing all of these crimes against humanity, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden there's people that are like, oh my gosh, how could we be doing this? And you still say what we talked about it on the show, where the majority of the country is still supportive of the war, right? Didn't we talk about that on here?
Which war?
Vietnam.
Yeah, up into about like 72, 73, I think, when Nixon got bounced out, I think it started waning. But yeah, I mean, support for despite the negative view we have of Vietnam, public support was in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, and I still think
most of it.
And I do think that media coverage of wars is not helpful for winning wars. I don't have a problem with media covering it, but I don't think that it's helpful for what's the term that I'm looking for back home support, whatever, for domestic support, because those people are removed from war. They're not there. And so therefore their perception changes. And so for years and years, and I can tell you as somebody who has grown up, who graduated in 2013, I can tell you that to join the military and to be a part of that was viewed as a negative thing in 2013 when I was graduating high school. And wars were a negative thing.
This is why I wanted to discuss this, because I think it's important to discuss.
And I mean, and that's based off the education system. That's what we're being taught in high schools and all that kind of stuff. And remember that most of my teachers are Gen X. So, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that being part of it. And maybe some of you guys are like, oh, this is why Colton's anti-war or whatever. I'm far more anti-war than the majority of my peers. So, I mean, it's for...
No, that's not true. I mean, not really.
Well, I'm saying I'm pacifistic, which is the majority.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true. And around here, you're in the minority, but nationwide.
Yeah. And so, but again, that starts with the perception post, or whatever is put out by media, whether you like it or not, whether people watch Fox News or MSNBC or CNN, or they just get on Truth Social or whatever. That perception that is being portrayed to them will have an effect on them moving forward. And it has an effect on society. We can't deny that. And if it has an effect on us in the room, if it has an effect on me, then, or a teacher of some sort. And I mean, like, even then I talked about it. I've talked about it on the show before. I went into my classroom and I went in with my honors class and we talked about, not preservation of innocence. Elie Wiesel's The Perils of Indifference. And then I went and I said, okay, what about Ukraine and Russia? And I gave them no answers. And it was more about them trying to ask the question about them, or answer the question. And then I said, okay, what about Gaza and Israel right now? And I gave them no answers.
Well, there's no answer.
Oh, yeah, I don't have an answer. But I mean, like, again, I gave them that, but there could be a teacher out there that does the exact same thing and decides to be like, This is where I'm gonna put in a plug. Put in my personal belief plug.
Well, I had a teacher, so I'll give you my perspective, and then we can chop it up from there. I appreciate your generational thing of older people send the younger people off to fight wars. I will tell you, when I was in my senior year of high school, we had a pretty good history teacher, AP history. He got himself in a little bit of trouble because he told us the Gilded Age would not be on the AP test, and it turned out to be on the AP test. So
damn it!
everybody else bombed. I knew enough to still get a 5, but he guaranteed that the Gilded Age wouldn't be on there, and if it was, you could burn down the classroom. So I kid you not, we showed up with gasoline cans on Monday. But anyway, despite it being a conservative Christian school, both politically and theologically, this guy was, I don't know he's probably like a FDR Truman Democrat. You could tell he was anti-Vietnam War. Actually, there's 3 or 4 teachers, male teachers, that were that way. Anyway, I remember him.
Well, you lived in LA, so.
Yeah, but this is like the kids going to this school, half are going to John MacArthur's church and the other half are going to this other there's 3. Or half are going to that church, the other half are going to this, or the other third are going to a very large Assemblies of God church.
And they all go to Saddleback now.
And
not anymore. They got
another
a woman pastor now.
Another third are going to Shepherd of the Hills. It's a very evangelical, or
Yeah, I get you.
MacArthur's church is an evangelical, but either very just fundamentalist or evangelical.
Yes, fundamentalist.
Anyway, I remember on multiple occasions him saying, the United States is going to go to war in the next 10 years. And he had he had reasons for it. He said every so many years we go to war. And every time he said it, the whole class, including myself, I think, including myself, probably maybe if I'm being honest, just kind of looked at him like skeptic, like, really? Because despite the Vietnam War, we understood war to be the Civil War, World War I, World War II. And we could just not envision.
Yeah, you didn't define it as it had to be occupations. It wasn't a precision airstrike.
It wasn't a precision airstrike, or it wasn't some liberation thing that then required us to be there for 20 years and spend $5 trillion. And so we're all looking at him like he's crazy.
He was talking about occupations.
So we're looking at him like he's crazy. And I actually have polling right here. Gaps in support for military action pre-2002, 18 to 29, 18 to 20, pre-2002 attacking Iraq, 18 to 29-year-olds, 69% were in favor of.
But that's post Vietnam. And so Vietnam is our last like full scale occupation, correct?
Well, it's our last full scale war too. I mean, in between we have like Grenada and we have
Desert Storm.
Panama. We have the first Desert Storm, which is in and out, and it's the first we're like.
Yeah, but that's like nobody is like, I need to enlist after that. Vietnam is. People are getting drafted. Nobody got drafted for 9/11, but everybody was enlisting like crazy after that.
After 9/11?
After 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody was like, let's go save fucking America. They listened to Toby Keith. And
correct.
Let's go get it done.
So what changed?
The now mass media coverage of war that hadn't fully existed up until that point, in my opinion.
Explain what you mean by what is it? What is the significance of the mass coverage by the media? Why is that the thing? I think I know what you're saying, and I want you to tease it out because I think you're correct, but tease that out. Why?
You now have it to where everyone in the country is now able to see everything that is going on, or it's being portrayed that you're seeing everything that's going on. And people are like, why are we there? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing blah, blah, blah? Why is this happening? Why is, they're interviewing this person on the street. They're interviewing this person. They got 24/7 coverage of what's going on. They're looking at the guys in the military and they're just like, why are they there? And it's been a year. It's been 2 years. It's been 3 years. It's been 4. What are we doing there still? It's been 5. It's been 6. It's been 7. It's been 8. What are we doing there? And it's been coverage constantly of being told, well, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. And it seems like it's empty promises. We're now seeing what actual warfare looks like on a full scale. And again, we're not getting results fast enough.
Correct.
But that's a dumb idea. Like, it's just the average viewer is just sitting there and being
correct. So you're 100%. Everything you just said is correct. The reason why young people have soured is because, one, they know they're going to go fight. 2, again, if you look at it demographically, the older you are, the more you support this. The older you are, you still have these grandiose ideas about World War II. And I've said before, I think on the show, World War II is not the paradigm of how warfare is fought. Because, one, we don't normally just bomb and destroy the shit out of each other. That's not usually how war works. It's usually much more low warfare. 90% of the wars ever been fought, civilians aren't involved. It's just literally like the king and his hired soldiers killing each other, and you might have some spillover in a village here and there. Like the Civil War, Sherman is still reviled in the South because he went and literally fucking burned the South, which was unheard of in warfare at the time, because he understood you have to get the population to capitulate in order to end the thing. Then we see that again we didn't really see that in World War I. World War I was trench warfare. It was a bunch of dudes.
European gentlemanly warfare.
Yes, at its worst. And then World War II is then a repeat of the Civil War, and then we see more war of that. Korean War is kind of similar to that. We see some urban warfare. Vietnam warfare is, yes, a lot of it's in the jungle, but it spills over into cities, and so. But most wars are just kind of these low-grade things. Well, I mean, the modern wars we've been fighting, they're low-grade for us, but they're not for the people who are fighting it.
Yeah.
And I don't think human nature, whether you're winning or losing, and I've made this to our friend group, human nature isn't meant to, when we read about the Peloponnesian War that goes on for 30 years, they go out and fight in the summer months because it's fighting season, and then they go back home and then don't fight. It's not like a constant thing.
Yeah.
So these wars, the 20 years wars, the 30 years wars of Europe, it's not like a constant thing. You're constantly hearing about 5 Marines got blown up.
Yeah.
And you're not having to deal with Johnny comes home and his body's all broken and he's hooked on drugs and to deal with the pain and all that kind of stuff that we have to deal with now. And so I think if we're being honest, well, I'm not gonna. You make your own opinion. Listening to the show, I think that the younger opinion view of how things are supposed to be is the more accurate one. I think you're asking. It is easy for World War II to be the paradigm because we won so decisively. But I think it's captured too many people over the age of such and such to think that that's what warfare is. And I think it is better for us to have this more solemn, introspective reluctance to go to war, to be like, that's just not how things work. Wow. And if we're going to do it, we have to understand what it took in order to win warfare that way.
Yep.
And it wasn't just dropping 2 atomic bombs on Japan, which arguably we did need to do, which arguably the Japanese had already capitulated, which arguably the Japanese had already said, we're going to surrender. We don't have to have an emperor anymore. And arguably Truman said, no, we're going to do it anyway because we need to show the Soviets that we've beat them to the bomb. Put that aside. We killed 200,000 people firebombing Dresden. We killed 200,000 people firebombing Tokyo. For 2 years, it was a holy terror living in anything that was industrial in Germany. And I guess I get it. Germany brought it upon themselves.
Yep.
But the terror that got delivered for all the terror that Hitler delivered to the neighborhoods of London, we brought back tenfold on to the neighborhoods of Germany. And is whatever we're arguing about that important when we face Jesus? That's just, again, I want everybody to, and you might say yes, or we sometimes get put in difficult positions. I'm asking, this seems like the big topic of the day. By that, I mean like today, but of our age. And this is why I think it comes up time and time again, which is the use of political violence to make for our country's freedom, security, yada, yada, yada. And I think I just time and time again want to bring it up so that all of us have an honest conversation with ourselves and let our conscience with what the Holy Spirit and what Jesus is guiding us to, and not what some stupid pledge or fucking flag or national guilt or some sense of what your grandfather and your father did, or your great-grandfather and what they did, and you've got to stand up and do your thing. And I'm sorry, I heard it last weekend at my brewery. Someone quite proudly said the United States is the greatest country on the earth, and everywhere it goes, it makes countries better. And I was in no mood to pick a fight at that point. I had told myself like 20 minutes before, just shut your mouth and listen to people, listen to other people say things and maybe learn something. I didn't want to be the guy who always had something to say, but when he's saying that, I'm like, no, that's just not the case. I'm sorry. We're not the worst country in the world. I don't think we're a terrible country, but this whole thing of like American exceptionalism, I'm over. We're not. There's certainly a lot of places that can say we're a net positive, but there's a lot of other places that could say we're a net negative. So if you happen to be listening to this and you're older, please understand that this is where people are coming from. And if you're younger, I think understand. If you're frustrated and you've got a grandfather or a father who's more pro on this, understand why. Winning is a big motivation for everything. And even though we haven't won in a while, when you still have the paradigm in your head of what warfare is the United States winning, you still shape those things. And so you get frustrated when we don't win and say we need to win, rather than saying like, well, maybe that shouldn't be the paradigm. If we go back and look through the history of everything, the history of humanity, the history of Europe, the history of the Near East, in what we call the Middle East, maybe the history of warfare is no one really ever wins. It's rare that someone wins. Yes, we have the Romans beating the Carthaginians, and we have the Romans conquering the Greeks, but then the Romans then spend 30, 40 years, a century, trying to put down Gaul and what we call Northern and Central Europe today. So, and that is the world of man, and that is the world that Satan ultimately is dominion of. We don't live in that world. We live in the world of Jesus, and we're supposed to be setting forth a different paradigm than the one that the enemy or the prince of principalities is in charge of.
Yeah.
They operate on a different worldview that we do, and we're supposed to be counter to that. So, all right. Well, if that was helpful. If not, then maybe the movie conversation was. But hope you enjoyed this episode of the Go to Hell podcast. Colton, you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
No? All right. Well, do your thing. Subscribe, rate, and review. I don't care, whatever. And then, yes, as I said before, ChatGPT, you can just go to hell. Tiger Woods, really? I don't even like Tiger. I'm a Phil Mickelson guy, but for the love of God.
I'm a Tiger guy.
I mean, Tiger's better than Phil. I just love Phil more than Tiger. But I mean, for the love of God, that's like, it's Phil Mickelson and Jack Nicklaus. Like, there's no, you can have an argument maybe over those two, but I mean, for the love of God, no Tiger Woods in the top 10.
Crazy.
Go to hell, ChatGPT.